Hello, you're watching the program Moscow Mosaic, and I'm the host, Mike Gibson. At the end of September, a delegation from the Moscow government visited the capital of the Republic of Turkey, Ankara, and the city of Antalya on a business and cultural visit. And today, in our program, we will tell you how this important trip turned out. Stay tuned. On today's program, the Moscow city government is expanding cooperation with the capital of the Republic of Turkey.
During the visit, we signed a new roadmap for cooperation with Ankara for 2026 to 2029.
Antalya's Russian community met with a delegation from the Moscow city government.
We had the opportunity to speak directly with the head of a department of the Moscow government. This is very important for many of our compatriots.
Over 20 Russian companies took part in a business dialogue with Turkish entrepreneurs during Moscow days in Ankara and Antalya.
We have to accomplish a great deal in just a few days, and the entrepreneurs are managing to do it.
Gorodki sport, sambo and strength disciplines, the Russian Sports Traditions Festival was held in Antalya. Whoa! Woohoo! That is something new for me. Moscow Days in the cities of the Republic of Turkey featured business meetings, round tables, business dialogues, and of course, a cultural program. The visit to the country's capital, Ankara, was the first stop on the event-packed working agenda of the Moscow delegation. One of the main events on the agenda of the visit to Turkey is a meeting with the mayor of Ankara, Mansur Yavaş. The Russian delegation was led by the Minister of the Moscow government, head of the Department for External Economic and International Relations of Moscow, Sergei Cheromyn.
Dear Minister of the Moscow government, Mr. Cheromyn, we would like to extend a sincere welcome to you in Ankara and say welcome. We are very pleased that your delegation here with us today includes not only business representatives, but also cultural figures from Russia. Dear Mr. Mayor, on behalf of the Moscow government delegation, I would like to sincerely thank you for your support in hosting the Moscow Days in Ankara. Today, our delegation includes the Commissioner for Entrepreneurs' Rights Protection in Moscow, Tatyana Sizova, and the President of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Vladimir Platonov. We have a large number of businessmen represented, as well as colleagues from various departments of the Moscow government, and this demonstrates that our ties are developing very actively.
The Ankara municipality is one of the priority partners of the Moscow government in Turkey. The two capitals have great potential for exchanging experience and cooperating in various fields. Moscow traditionally collaborates with Ankara on issues of transport infrastructure development. The city's ties, both on a business and friendship level, in the spheres of economic, urban management, trade, innovation, culture and tourism are developing and strengthening day by day.
In 2019, after I became the mayor of Ankara, my first foreign visit was to Moscow. I saw with my own eyes how this city is growing and developing. My colleague, Mr. Sobyanin, showed me how Moscow preserves its historical heritage and develops its recreational areas, parks, and the infrastructures of its squares and avenues. And in this regard, Moscow is an exemplary city.
At a meeting, the parties discussed plans for developing relations between the two capitals. The main outcome of the political, economic and cultural humanitarian dialogue was the signing of a cooperation protocol between the Moscow government and the Ankara municipality for 2026 to 2029.
During the visit, we signed a new roadmap for cooperation with Ankara for the years 2026 to 2029. It outlines in great detail the specific areas where we plan to exchange expertise. These include, first and foremost, the creation of a comfortable urban environment, the modernization of transport infrastructure, and the use of digital technologies for the benefit of the city. It also covers the development of the social sphere, healthcare, and education, and we have also agreed to exchange cultural delegations.
The meeting concluded with an exchange of commemorative gifts and a joint photo session. Moscow Days in Ankara saw active participation from business representatives of both countries. Moscow entrepreneurs came to meet with their Turkish counterparts to expand trade and economic relations and to establish new contacts. In a few minutes at the Ankara Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the conference Moscow-Ankara, a new stage in partnership, will begin. The Moscow-Ankara, a new stage of partnership conference brought together government officials as well as Russian and Turkish business leaders. Participants noted that the Russian capital is ready to share its expertise in various fields, including the development of transport infrastructure. Moscow is now home to the largest electric bus fleet in Europe and the world's largest car-sharing system. The use of cutting-edge digital technologies is making life in the Russian capital more convenient than ever before.
We are here to find a partner for implementing non-interruptive testing methods in the aviation and railway sectors. The primary mission of chambers of commerce is to shift trade from a negative environment to a positive one. And that is why such meetings are extremely valuable. Together, we are actively working to revitalize exports. We want everyone to share our enthusiasm in this endeavor, and this is precisely why we understand and attach great importance to such meetings.
During the visit to Ankara, the Moscow government delegation, together with Turkish colleagues, visited one of the largest urban parks, Dikmen Vadisi. Dikmen Vadisi Park is one of the largest and most popular parks in Ankara. It is full of greenery. There are gardens, walking paths, and special terraces for relaxing. Wow, and even a place for climbers! The park is located in a gorge in the Dikmen district. For many years, this was a wasteland. But thanks to the efforts of the Ankara municipality, the area has been transformed into a popular and beloved recreational zone for all citizens.
This park holds great symbolic significance for our city because a tremendous amount of work was done here. In this area, there were illegal constructions and small houses. All of that was demolished. Afterwards, extensive landscaping and improvement works were carried out here.
One such area within the Dikmen Vadisi Park complex became the Moscow-Ankara Friendship Alley. To mark the 70th anniversary of the victory in World War II, 70 birch trees, a recognized symbol of Russia, were planted here. Furthermore, several years ago, the city authorities decided to erect a monument in honor of the first cosmonaut, Yuri Gagarin, in this section of the park. During their visit, delegation representatives inspected the site for the future monument and discussed the landscaping project for the surrounding area. Moscow puts great emphasis on cultural cooperation with Ankara. This was underscored by the opening of a thematic photo exhibition in the capital of the Republic of Turkey. Red Square and the Kremlin, the Stalinist skyscrapers, boulevards, parks, museums, and the city's largest events, all captured in photographs, allow viewers to immerse themselves in the atmosphere of the Russian capital. The residents of Ankara were able to discover Moscow not only through photographs, but also through music. The guests have already arrived. The artists of the jazz band, led by Vadim Elinkrig, will soon take the stage. So let's go and take a look. Hi.
Good evening.
Great. Thank you very much. The concert brought Turkish and Russian jazz fans together at one venue. Vadim Elinkrig's ensemble performed compositions that blend classic jazz with modern improvisations.
We see that people, regardless of nationality, skin color, or the country where we perform, all understand the language of melody, and they have the same emotions on their faces, the same expression in their eyes. And ultimately, that's why I believe that music, especially instrumental music, with all due respect to vocalists, is the most international language of them all.
The audience highly appreciated the performers, noting the richness of Russia's musical heritage. This event once again demonstrated how important it is to develop cultural cooperation between Moscow and Ankara. The cultural and business program of the Moscow government delegation in Ankara has come to an end, but there's still a lot of work to be done. We have arrived in Antalya. This port and resort town in the south of Turkey is a very popular vacation spot for Russians. All year round, millions come to visit this place. For me, however, it's my first time. Antalya is one of Moscow's most important Turkish partners. The broad spectrum of cooperation encompasses many areas. Naturally, tourism holds a special place. From January to August 2025 alone, Antalya was visited by over 2.5 million Russian citizens. This constitutes 24% of the entire tourist flow to the region.
We have been closely cooperating with the province of Antalya, with the city of Antalya, for 3 years now. Why is it important to us? I believe it's primarily because it is one of the most beloved tourist destinations for Russian citizens and Muscovites alike. Annually, Antalya is visited by over 4 million Russian tourists. And this is, of course, facilitated by excellent airline connections. For the region's airport handles over 100 flights from the Russian Federation on a weekly basis.
The first working day of the Moscow government delegation in Antalya began with a series of business meetings. The Moscow delegation, headed by Minister of the Government of Moscow Sergei Cheromin, was welcomed by the governor of Antalya province, Mr. Hulusi Sahin. After the visit to the prefecture, the delegation proceeded to Antalya City Hall. Here, the Russian guests were met by acting mayor of Antalya, Busra Ozdemir. At this meeting, the Moscow government delegation will discuss issues related to bilateral cooperation. During the meeting, participants discussed urban development as well as tourism and culture. A central topic of the dialogue was the exchange of expertise in managing urban spaces and preserving the cultural and archaeological heritage of both Antalya and Moscow. On the Russian side, the negotiations included representatives from Moscow's Department of Cultural Heritage and the Kolomenskaya and Tsaritsina museum reserves, which possess extensive experience in the restoration and promotion of cultural and historical monuments.
We were very fortunate that the leadership of the Department of Cultural Heritage welcomed us and immediately immersed us in the millennia-long history of this beautiful country. Overall, it was an incredibly important dialogue, which I believe will lead to further joint projects.
The participants also noted that the meeting once again highlighted the commitment of Moscow and Antalya to deepening cultural and economic interaction. One of the most anticipated events within the framework of Moscow Days was the conference, Moscow Antalya, Experience, Trends, Opportunities, held at the city's Chamber of Commerce and Industry. More than 20 companies have come to meet with their Turkish colleagues. Businessmen will discuss new areas for joint cooperation. The conference began with a welcoming address by Antalya's acting mayor, Busra Özdemir. In her speech, she emphasized the importance of bilateral dialogue. Ms. Özdemir announced that in 2024, Antalya joined the Moscow government's Urban Transport Data Project. This digital analytical platform enables the exchange of information on transport metrics and best practices for industries. In turn, Minister of the Government of Moscow, Head of the Department for External, Economic and International Relations, Sergei Chiromin, noted in his address that last year, Turkey became the second largest country after China in terms of trade volume between Moscow and its foreign partners.
We focus not only on cooperation in the field of hospitality, but also on collaboration in high technology. We have agreed with the Antalya city administration to exchange experience in the field of transport development, and we are also sincerely grateful to our colleagues for their regular participation in the Moscow International Transport Summit.
The participants of the conference told Turkish partners about the achievements of Moscow companies, as well as about the opportunities available to foreign investors and entrepreneurs in the capital of Russia.
We have to accomplish a great deal in just a few days, and most importantly, the entrepreneurs are managing to do it. They are networking, exchanging business cards. We have reached agreements, and they have made their presentations in Turkish. And even after we depart, the materials will remain accessible for those who couldn't attend or weren't aware of the event, and this will continue to develop. That is the primary objective, and we are maintaining online cooperation between the chambers of commerce and industry.
In a rapidly changing world order, business relations between Moscow and Turkey are now of particular importance. Meeting participants noted that creating a favorable investment climate, removing trade barriers, and developing transport infrastructure are helping to expand the scale of business cooperation and grow mutual trade.
For many years, for decades, Russia has been one of our biggest partners in the business area. And especially about tourism, we have many close relationships with them. And we would like to extend that to the medical tourism area as well. Basically, that's why we are here, for looking for the possibilities of new cooperations with Moscow.
Following the plenary session, Turkish and Moscow businessmen continued their discussions in a B2B format. There are a lot of Russian people here in Antalya, and they're not just tourists. There are a lot of compatriots living here right now, and today we're going to meet some of them. The activities of Russian compatriots in Turkey were discussed during the roundtable, The Russian Diaspora, Realities and Prospects. The meeting was organized by the Moscow government.
Today's meeting is, of course, a significant event for compatriots living in Antalya. It is significant in the sense that we had the opportunity to speak directly with the head of a department of the Moscow government. And this is very important for many of our compatriots residing here in Antalya and in other cities of the Antalya region.
Minister of the Government of Moscow, Head of the Department for External Economic and International Relations, Sergei Chiromin, met with representatives of Russian compatriot organizations in the Antalya province, as well as with staff from local private schools that follow the Russian educational curriculum.
We have agreed to provide support with the supply of textbooks and teaching materials. Moscow is renowned as a city of outstanding secondary education and high academic standards. Therefore, our compatriots, who, according to some estimates, number over 100,000 in the region, with about 50,000 of them residing permanently in Antalya, I think that they will appreciate our support in developing secondary schools with instruction in Russian. And this is also a very important area of cooperation.
As part of Moscow Days in Antalya, the festival Russian Sports Traditions was held on the grounds of the private Moscow International School. The event was organized with the support of the Moscow government and the Russian House in Ankara.
With the support of the Moscow government and the Department for External Economic and International Relations, the Prefecture of the Southern Administrative Okrug signed a cooperation protocol with the Antalya municipality in August 2023. And since then, starting in 2023, we have been continuously collaborating in areas of social policy, culture, sports, and tourism. And we are holding joint events with the Antalya municipality and the community of our two cities, the prefecture of the Southern Administrative District. Today, our curriculum features 3 sports categories, 3 types of sports. These are the sport Gorodki, which is very popular in Russia, of course, and with children too. Then there is Samba, represented by Samba 70, a team of athletes that has come from Moscow. And we have a multiple world and European champion, a record holder. He is an absolutely unique individual, Dmitry Zhimarkin, who will demonstrate strength sports working with heavy weights.
The festival lasted for 2 days. During this time, many students and guests had the opportunity to get acquainted with traditional Russian sports. For instance, the game Gorodki generated significant interest among everyone.
We prepared the children, explained the rules and technique of the game, did some throwing practice with them, and it all turned out to be very engaging.
I've never played Gorodki before.
Everyone has to start somewhere.
Like that, yes? Have we done? Whoa! It's not as easy as it looks at first glance.
Every child had the chance to try themselves out in any specific discipline. They identified their weaknesses and worked on them. I gave them advice, and in the future the kids will practice all these movements on their own and will go on to achieve top results in the sporting arena.
Samba was invented in the Soviet Union. The name is an acronym for self-defense without weapons. So, like this. One more time. And I need to go like this? Wow. That is something new for me. Furthermore, during the festival days, guests were able to engage not only with Russian sports, but also with literature. Russian children's author Anna Goncharova held a masterclass for young readers.
I conducted a creative writing masterclass for the children, which taught them how to compose stories. I presented my new books and, of course, handed our gifts out from the Moscow government.
Alongside English and Turkish, Russian is a primary language at this school. After all, the private Moscow International School was established specifically for Russian-speaking children residing in the Antalya province.
Our educational institution has been operating according to Russian educational standards since 2011. We represent Russian education here and support and reinforce all the international projects that Russia is presenting to the world. These are projects related to the promotion and popularization of the Russian language. One of these projects, which has been running for many years by the Pushkin Institute, is the Ambassadors of the Russian Language in the World, and we serve as the headquarters for this project here.
Moscow Days in Ankara and Antalya concluded with a concert by Vadim Ellincraig's jazz ensemble. A large audience came to listen to one of Russia's most renowned jazz musicians. That evening, there wasn't an empty seat in the Antalya concert hall.
I am simply overflowing with emotions. It's such an energy boost, something we lack here. We have the sun, the sea, beautiful mountains, nature, but we don't have genuine high-quality art. Believe me, it happens, but very rarely. So Moscow's performance was a solid A+. Thank you so much.
The visit of the Moscow government to Turkey has come to an end. We will definitely tell you all about the future developments of bilateral relations between these two countries in our upcoming programs. I'm Mike Gibson, and you've been watching Moscow Mosaic. See you next time. Bye.